Hey girl, welcome to Her Legacy Rewritten, where we're all about taking bold, purpose-driven action to building a life you're completely obsessed with. My name's Courtney, a small-town country girl turned entrepreneur and on a personal journey to becoming the first millionaire in my family. But to be honest, most days I still feel like I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm obsessed with the process of figuring it out together like girlfriends. And around here, we're going to keep it raw, real, talking all things business, money, mindset, and the messy middle no one prepares you for, with epic guests who get it and stories to remind you you're not alone and you are made for more regardless of what season you're in. So grab your drink, pull up a seat, and let's do the damn thing, girl. Hey, Katie. Oh my gosh. Thank you for being on. I am so excited for you to be here on my podcast. And to be honest, you're actually my first interviewee person. So I'm so excited that it's you because I just love your content and I love the way you show up and the way that we do business here. So go ahead and take a second to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Appreciate you, Courtney, and it's awesome to see you absolutely thriving within this podcast. So I'm super excited to be here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Katie Pilkey, and I'm from Canada. Um, I am business partners with Courtney, and we're both very focused on helping individuals be able to really build up their lives to get to their dream lives. So, super excited to get into it today.
For sure. Thank you so much for that. So, what I really want to start this out with, so my podcast, I've been open about this, like it's about my business journey and the people around me that are in the same business as I am. So you and I are in the same business, and I really want them to understand why high ticket has been such a game changer for us and or to add to the streams of income that you have or you want to grow into. So, with that being said, why did you start this business? Like, what drew you to high ticket, to Enagic, to add this to what it is that you do?
Ooh, my favorite. So for me personally, I was in a job that I really liked. I was not planning on running the business, actually. I ended up falling in love with the products. I got the products for my health. I have post-concussion syndrome, so it was definitely health focused, my purchase. But over time, I began to really kind of dive into the lifestyle that people were living and just with being focused on true health and being physical health, mental health, and financial health, these are just all areas that are so important to be focused on. And I truly believe that if any of those areas are lacking in your life, then it's really difficult to thrive. So for me, I just kind of ended up falling in love with that. And I just want to touch on the high ticket part for a minute here because it just was so different once I decided that my injuries and my job were no longer in alignment and I wanted to make that shift to running my business full time. It's huge to be able to make high ticket income with a high ticket item, that's has so much value to it because there's just so much more value and space to be able to build something and make that shift a lot easier than it is selling low ticket items, in my opinion. I haven't actually done low ticket myself, but I just saw a clear pathway with high ticket that it was going to be a smoother transition to be able to actually make that jump into running a business full time.
For sure, I love that. What um you mentioned like having concussion and having like that's like a big deal, especially if that's like one of the main reasons like it didn't go away, like it has lasting effects. What did that do to like your mindset of like around running a business? Like what did obstacles did you have to deal with mentally when it came to like, okay, like I'm leaving my job to do this, but this is like a lot harder than just showing up to a 9 to 5 because you technically are the 9 to 5. You have to show up for you. You have to run your business. What did that look like with dealing with like mental health and running a business? Like, what did that look like?
Mm, massive challenge, that's for sure. Um, yeah, it was very eye-opening to kind of navigate how my body was feeling versus how much I wanted to be doing. When you start something new, it's super exciting and you want to be spending all your time on it. And I guess that's kind of relatable to someone who, like, even like you, Courtney, who has like a busy
Hmm.
life and you have a family you take care of, you have a job, like you have a relationship and there's always going to be so many other things to focus on, but at the end of the day, like it all comes down to prioritizing things.
Hmm.
And I think that's what it came down to for me was just realizing that, I was allowing so much space for stressful things to enter my mindset and enter my life. And I never really realized how much it was impacting me until it was causing me literal headaches. I kind of was forced to cut a lot of that out because I just couldn't even deal with like the stress going on in my life because it was, making my symptoms a lot worse. So, it was a blessing in disguise for sure
Hmm.
because it was difficult, but I definitely had to work really hard to cut a lot of the BS out of my life and kind of allow the space to start focusing on what a healthier mindset looks like and pouring into my mental health and be able to, support that area of my life. And doing that work, I think it's so easy to focus on, business growth or, the products and stuff. But, having that mindset and being mentally healthy is a massive part that, is played into the success in building a business.
Oh my gosh, yes, all of that. All of that. I can totally relate to like what you're saying, like with just having a busy life and like you get excited, the hype of like I'm doing a business, I can do this, I can make money from home. But then it comes with those challenges of like, what am I doing? Like you go through a process, I feel like, of losing yourself to refine yourself and to really understand what it is that you want. And when you're building a business, I feel like the most scariest part for me is like going to a 9 to 5, they already have like a structure. They have like, this is what you do. And then you have a business where you're like, it's me. I get to make it up. What do I want to do? And the mindset behind like figuring that out and having that healthy balance between what it is that you want, what it is that you need, and really just like leading up to that, I think is really, really super important. And just seeing your journey with having to deal with a lot more mental stress than I feel like I have. And seeing you continue to persist and like show up and build a business is super inspiring to me because I'm like, I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, my mindset is so bad. But that really is like one of the biggest focus foundations that we need to have in a business and dealing with struggles for me as a mom, I kind of lost myself going into motherhood. And when it came to building a business, I didn't even know or recognize myself. So, not having injuries or things like that, I deal with different types of mindset problems with being a mom. I'm not just me, I'm mom now. I am wife. I am the which you're recently married. You probably understand it like a new step now of like I'm a wife now kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to work on your mindset because sometimes you feel like you don't need to work on it. You're like, I'm fine. Like, that's me. I'm 100%. I'm like, I'm fine. I got this. But then it's like, yeah, no, actually, I don't. So, going into like deciding to start the business, what did you expect coming in versus what you actually ended up like, what it ended up like? What did you come in with expecting versus like what it ended up like?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, coming into actually deciding I wanted to run the business side of things and like go all in and, totally change my work and my lifestyle, I was absolutely so scared. I was incredibly scared. Like if you don't know me that well, I previously was working in an elementary school. So for me, I was like, I only know how to talk to children. I don't know how to talk to adults. Like, I don't like, let alone sales. It freaked me out. I had no, I hated social media. I had no sales skills. Like I was just purely scared. So I think the biggest thing about feeling that fear and doing it anyways and being on the other side of it, realizing that you really get down to just being yourself, learning how to be authentic and just naturally sharing the things that you love. And I think that's why it matters so much that you're standing behind a product that you absolutely love. Like you need to be a huge fan of it to, I find, be successful in a place because, it's just, I think, incredibly impactful if you're being authentic and just being yourself and being real. And I really appreciate that you, Courtney, hold that throughout your podcast here is because like people need to know what's real and they can tell when your
Mhm.
energy is off or fake or something, like you just
Yeah,
have to be yourself. And I think that was probably the biggest learning lesson for me on the other side of fear.
for sure. I love every single thing that you said there. I feel like a lot of times as women, moms especially, we tend to overthink a lot of things and we have a lot of fear around a lot of things. And I think just in general, we all have a lot of fear about different things. Fear of what other people think. You brought up with like sales skills. I was afraid of sales skills too. I'm like, I'm not a salesperson. I don't know how to do this, but what am I doing? I'm jumping in anyways. And I love that you brought up feeling the fear and doing it anyways. So, what are some of the biggest things, which you've kind of already mentioned it, like you felt scared, feeling the fear, lack of sales skills, lack of marketing skills. You're like, I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to do that. I know how to do kids. Um, what is like the biggest thing that you've had to overcome, or like more things that you've had to overcome in starting a business? Like, let's get like real down and dirty here. Like the fear is real. Like we all tend to like hide that of like, oh, it's all great and sunshines and rainbows, and it's like, no, behind the scenes, it's like it is a mess. What did that look like for you, even currently? What are some things that you're going through that you're overcoming, but still feeling that fear and doing it anyways?
Oh man. I feel like I'm constantly, facing new things to overcome. I think like as you grow, there's gonna be new things. It's a journey, right? Like you're never gonna have a moment where there's nothing at all to overcome. Like you're perfect. Like this is
Yeah.
a huge part of building a business is being able to work on yourself and grow and expand. So I think I'll kind of talk about like previous a little bit. One of the biggest things I think that was difficult for me to overcome was comparison. It's so
Mm,
easy to see, and like people are always celebrating wins, and it's so awesome to be able to, clap for other people. But
yeah.
sometimes it can get to you a little bit and being like, you know what? Well, like, those insecurities and those, doubts and stuff come up. And, it's not like you'll be able to ever, never have those kind of
Hmm.
things, but it's being able to have that inner conversation and realize that, people's journeys aren't yours. And sometimes being different or having a slower journey is um, meant to be in a way because I mean, personally, the biggest thing for me, like within that inner conversation, was realizing that I couldn't quite find my place in, the company of an addict. There are so many people that had like crazy health testimonials, and, I kind of do, but, tons of like business hitting the ranks and lots of success in that sense. But it was really hard for me to find my own place in being unique and being myself. That I had to go through so much of my own mental health journey to find confidence, to find, the strength to the grit to just show up and be there and be happy with and proud with the things that you're showing up and doing. So I think the biggest thing for me was learning that I had to go through all of that to find, the place of wanting to really impact people with their mental health. So, if I would have forced it and gone down a different path and not been open to just learning and experiencing, it took me probably around 5 or 6 years to find out where I felt comfortable and like I belonged and was really aligned. So, just I think the biggest thing and any advice that comes from that is just to like trust the process and realize that every step you take is bringing you to where you're meant to be.
I love all of that. And especially where you bring up comparison, because I still struggle with that. And it's taken me a long time too. Like, I'm definitely not where I would have pictured myself to be right now. But I feel like from where I came from mentally, skill set, comparison, everything, I feel like I've had to take this longer journey in order to become the person I am today that can achieve that. And I think that that's like super important, like especially that you brought up with like learning how to be unique, learning how to be yourself. Like you find yourself in this process of like, I remember growing up, it wasn't like in a bad way, but it was kind of like one of those like, you need to grow up, you need to act better, you need to act like an adult, you need to do this. Don't act childish or silly. Like it was something that it felt like we all come from different backgrounds. And I've been unlearning a lot of that going into my business where I'm like, I can still be a kid. I can still act like me. I can still be silly and goofy and fun. And so I've had to do a lot of unlearning myself on how to be unique, how to be myself, and to stop showing up as like what I have been brought up to be like. And I think that's like a huge step in like what you've talked about is learning how to be yourself. So what is one thing that's taken you by surprise? Which it sounds like learning how to be yourself has taken you by surprise. That has actually been the funnest thing that you've learned along this journey that like it just completely took you by surprise. Like you're like, I love doing this now, and I was so scared with it before. What is that?
Hmm. Well, first of all, I want to just reiterate how lovely what you just said is like this whole journey and like finding yourself. I think that's such a beautiful piece about building a business like this. So just wanted to reiterate that because I think that's so important. Um, you might have to repeat the question to me.
What is um the thing that took you most by surprise that you've learned along this
Mm.
journey that you now love to do that you didn't think that it was something that you would like to do?
Mm. You know what? I think I've always really loved people, but I used to be a massive like introvert, and I think it's definitely surprised me the most that I am absolutely in love with like meeting new people and like hearing their walks of life. And at the end of the day, like that's what we're here for, right? Is being able to like meet people and like hear about what's going on in their lives. And if there is any space where we can add the least bit of value, whether that's like a product or a service that you're selling, or just like having, someone to chat with, or, giving them a resource that you have used, or, sharing just some insights, like it's just so amazing to be able to network with so many different people. And whether you're in a niche or not, like I feel super lucky to be in a Nagic where we're talking water, and every human out there, I hope, is drinking water. So like it's just amazing to be able to talk to so many different people with walks of life, where my whole life I was so, shy when it came to like meeting new people or, talking a bunch and stuff like that. So I think that's surprised me the most is seeing me kind of blossom within like meeting new people and the networking kind of space.
I love that because I am almost the same way. I'm like very, how do I want to say it? Like I'm an extrovert, but I'm also an introvert. I'm like 50-50. I'm like I can be like totally stand off in the shadows, like don't talk to me, but I do love being around people. And so learning how
Mhm.
to talk to people has been like the most coolest thing. So I'm like, I meet really cool people, especially like in this business where we've all met up, like we're just not faces on screens anymore, like we've actually met up. It's like this is so cool to meet other people and see their different walks of life, their mindset, what they've done. to get to where they are or where they want to go. Like that's been like the biggest thing for me is like listening to people's whys and their visions and their missions. Like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like they're going here. Geez, I don't even feel like I can show up to my 9 to 5 today and they're going there. Like it's crazy. And it's like it inspires me to like want to be like them, to get to that point. And so definitely I agree with that, like meeting other people and getting to help people and be of service and create impact, whether that be through health, mental health, or financial health. Like it's amazing that we get this opportunity, especially through social media, the internet. We can access people globally where we didn't have that before. And now it's like even cooler that you can access people from all over the world and help impact their lives. And so I really love that. Like that's definitely something that I've experienced too of like, oh my gosh, I actually like doing this. I like talking to people. I like doing this.
That's
What
huge.
is what is one lie that you've believed for way too long on what success should look like?
Ooh, that's a good one. um, Honestly, I think when it comes to building a business on social media, I think that people typically look at a successful, like business builder or someone that shows up online. There's so many like stigmas when it comes to like how many followers, how many likes, how many views, and like stuff like that. And I think that at the end of the day, even if you have a bunch of followers, a bunch of, likes or comments or whatever on what you're putting out, at the end of the day, if you're not putting out enough value to impact people's lives, then none of that matters. So I think that's been one of the biggest things that I saw in social media that I was believing, like as the lie, to now I know that, when you're showing up authentically and you're just focused on giving some type of value to whatever, however many people that are watching, it's at the end of the day, what's successful is if you can even just impact one person's life, then you've put out successful content.
I love that. I feel that because I have done the same thing of like seeing people as success by off of like what's it called? The metrics kind of a thing. Like, oh
Hmm.
my gosh, I got one like, but these people got like 100,000 likes, or these people got so many views. I got 2 views. Like it's definitely been a retraining of my brain as well of like, this is not what success is. Because if you really look at it, there's actually some people that I follow, besides Balaj, which you'll hear me like my audience, you'll hear me mention him because he is one of like the top leaders in our business, and I really look up to him and how he shows up. And I look at some of his content when it shows up in my news feed, and there's like 2, 3 likes, there's like 1 or 2 comments, and I'm like, if he can still be top income earner and get these kind of metrics, I should not be worried about that kind of a thing. And other people that I follow too, outside of Enagic, that are super successful, and I follow their content, and they get a couple of hearts, they get 100 views or 200 views, and I'm like, if they could be millionaires, if they can be super successful and not worry all these about these metrics and still just show up, I'm like, then why can't I? Like, why am I comparing myself to metrics or comments or likes or hearts? And one of the biggest things for me too was like college. Like, that was definitely something that my dad wanted me to do. And I'm like, I didn't want to. Like, it wasn't in my plan to do college. And so, for the longest time before I found network marketing, I felt like a failure to like society because I didn't have college plans and I wasn't going to be successful because I didn't go to college and get a degree and all these things. And it's like, that's just, it sucked to feel that way. It's like, I could still be successful without being like the status quo, for lack of a better term, like following the normal status. And
Hmm.
I think that's like been one of the biggest mindset shifts for me as well, is like to stop looking at the metrics and just show up with value and do value, because that's actually where the money's at, is the value, not the views, not the likes, not the hearts, not the, even though that's all fun and games, it's awesome to see that. But that's where you start to make the money and you have the success is by not caring about what the metrics have to offer, but more of, I lost my point. But like just showing up to make an impact and providing value. I love all of
Mhm.
that. This one's kind of a deep question, just because this podcast is all about the messy middle. What did your becoming season look like behind the scenes? Not the Instagram version, the messy middle that nobody's seen of you, that nobody knows because you haven't talked about it. Like, what does that season look like? Because I've had plenty of moments where I'm like, I've cried to my husband. I'm like feeling like a failure, and I'm like, this sucks. Like, but I still continue to show up as still making an impact. But behind the scenes, it's like, oh my gosh, like I have breakdowns. I have like that moment where I'm like, I just want to burn it all down and like quit, but I don't because it's like, this is what I want to do. What has that season looked like for you behind the scenes?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I completely relate to you, and I think that's a huge piece of it too, is like, the feeling of questioning yourself. Like, is this gonna work? Like, am I cut out for this? Like, should I quit? And with doing this, it's been 6.5 years now for me, and I've had a lot of moments where I've been like, am I really gonna do this? Like, is this happening? Like, maybe I should just, go back to a job or something like that. And there's definitely been difficult times. And if you know anything about Enagic, the comp plan, I quit my job at 2A. Which is like it can be as low as like your third sale. So, oh
Mhm.
my goodness, like I hit a wall real quick because I, thought I was just gonna skyrocket right away and stuff. And it proved to be a lot more difficult and challenging than I thought it was going to be. Of course, I knew there was going to always be like challenges moving forward, but it just led me to so many, deeper feelings of having to, get like a serving job on the side or something like that. I felt like I had already started to fail, even though, I had made that step of like leaving my job and I never actually went back. So, the fact that I was able to go into like part-time work and be running my business at the same time. And I think that's why high ticket matters so much, is just because you can have like, when you do make that sale, it's a good amount of income coming in. It's not like something where you can just buy a small little bit of groceries or something. I mean, well, in Canada, now a small high ticket paycheck is is a full load of groceries, but yeah, oh my gosh, it's just there's so many moments that you face that you are gonna question yourself, but I think just, being able to, I want to say, indulge in those messy moments and even just take note of it, because if you can have the grit to tell yourself that you're going to keep going no matter what, and you're not going to quit, you're not going to give up, remind yourself of your why you're here doing this, what you're working towards, you know, you're gonna face those times, and picture those messy times being something you talk about on stage one day, something you're a year ahead and you look back on like, wow, a year ago today, I was in a very messy moment, and look at me now. So, you're gonna experience those messy moments. They're definitely gonna be there. There is not one successful person out there that has not experienced messy moments, but that just brings so much more creativity, excitement to your
Mhm.
story, that make people realize, wow, if they've faced these moments and they're there where they are today, then I can do it too. So I think there's so much beauty in talking about these messy moments. So I absolutely love that that's a focus of yours on this podcast.
It is because it's a huge factor. Like nobody sees that. Like everybody just sees the I'm fine, I'm great. But then when you see everybody like yourself, you're like, "Oh my God, these people are showing up and they're like 100% perfect and I'm over here a mess." That's not relatable. And I feel like that's
Hmm.
what needs to be talked about more because there's probably a lot of people out there that want to start a business or even like for us, like high ticket's kind of scary. You're like, it's a huge investment, but then it's like, oh my God, I'm going to be selling something that's thousands of dollars. How am I going to do this? And you start to have those like breakdowns of like, how do I sell this? What do I do? How do I this? But everybody else is showing up like everything's just fine. And it's like,
Hmm.
it takes a lot to not have those meltdowns, to have those breakdowns, to have those moments like and it still comes. Like it comes and goes. Um I remember listening to one of Balage's coaching calls because I'm a part of his Diamond Life mentorship. And he talked about his one of the water demos that he did and he did it for 50 people and I think he said like 50 people RSVP'd and he got everything like set up and all these things and not a single person showed up and it's like 10 minutes after, 15 minutes after, and he's all like irrational optimism. Like, and his wife comes down like, I don't think anybody's showing up, and he's just like, no, they're in the parking lot. They're coming. Like he had like this irrational optimism, but deep down, I mean, even though he had that optimism in his story, deep down, he's probably like, oh shit, what is going on? Like this sucks. No, but I counted on 50 people and not one person showed up. That is what needs to be talked about, not like, oh my God, like I did this water demo on this. Like, talk about the ones that people didn't show up to. Talk about like calls. Like, I've had people that are like, yeah, I want to get started. And we get to the process, book a call, and they don't show up or they cancel last minute. And it's like that is something that not a lot of people talk about, but other people deal with. And so they feel like failures. They feel like it's not working for them. They feel like something is wrong with them because they don't see anybody else dealing with it. And so that's why I really want to focus on like that messy middle because I don't want people to feel like they don't like that they're alone because a lot of us feel alone in our businesses and when we grow them and that's really hard. It's like I'm done with that feel alone feeling. Like let's make this more relatable to talk
Hmm.
about that messy middle. And so I thank you so much for sharing that because it is, it's hard. It's really hard with that. I experienced something similar to that where I quit my job after reinvesting into a new team. I was able to stay home for 4 months. I was all gung ho, like, okay, this is it. I'm going to do it. And, life happened and I had to go back to a job. I felt like a complete failure. I'm like, I quit my job and I was like, I'm going to do this. And it didn't happen. And so talking to those points of like, yeah, we plan on never having to work again. We plan on this being our income. There is those moments where in the beginning stages it's like we have to have a job or we have to have like that income to like help do something. And that's totally
Hmm.
okay for like anybody who's listening to this. That's totally okay to build a business alongside what
Hmm.
it is that you're doing and to not feel shame doing that because it's keeping you going. I know a lot of people that they run ads and they have a 9 to 5 to pay for their ads to run their business. And so it's like that it's all in how you look at it. Like the mindset shift like what we've talked about on how you look at what it is that you're going through. So,
Hmm.
one last thing that I would love for you to leave this audience, whoever's listening in, what is one thing you do to get yourself fired back up when you feel at your lowest? What is one thing that you do? A song, dancing, podcast, like a travel, a trip, like whatever that looks like. What is one thing you do when you're at your lowest and you feel like giving up that keeps you going?
Mm. Oh, the biggest thing I think for me is taking a day off. Like it's, there's so much value in like the hustle and showing up and putting in the work, but there's also so much beauty in slowing down. And as soon as I
Yeah.
slow down and like my favorite things to do are always outside, So if I do absolutely anything outdoors, it just fills me back up again. And that's when I start to get all of these like creative ideas and like inspirational thoughts. And, I'll spend time like journaling or, just doing things that just pour into me and bring out the best in me because spending time doing that always has so much value within it. And I know I said like taking a day off, and maybe that might look like that for me doing this full time, but for other people that, aren't in something like this full time, it could be even just making like 10 minutes a day to pour into yourself to help you feel fired up all the time. And obviously, it might not be all the time, and that's totally okay. But those are, when you get to those crashes, that's when you're going to realize that, you know what, okay, maybe I haven't been pouring into myself and keeping myself inspired on a regular basis. Whereas, if you're practicing, and I truly think that this is a practice of taking those little things that you would do with a day off and incorporating them into your busy life, make it realistic and make it something that's, gonna keep you that light that's within you lit. You need to keep that lit. Because if you stop paying attention to it, you shove it down, you're dimming it, then it's gonna disappear. You're gonna have to light a complete fire within yourself to come back from it and have a whole day. You'll be crashed and burnt out. But I truly recommend finding, that one thing that you would do to fire yourself up and break it down into like 10 minutes, something you can do daily. So for me, that's, being outdoors and incorporating reflective tools to be able to kind of like keep my own inner inspiration going.
I love that because I can totally relate to everything you just said. Being outdoors, we're an outdoors family, so we do hunting, hiking, camping, fishing, like all the things, and just reconnecting with like just nature, like losing service. Like, don't even turn your phone off. Like, go somewhere where you lose service. You cannot even access your phone,
It's my
even if
favorite.
you tried. And just reconnect with yourself, like taking that fresh air, like you said, journaling. I have my moments of journaling moments, but it's not something that I do all the time. But when I do do it, it's like, this is awesome. Like when we go camping trips, I bring a notebook with me every time because then I'm like, I want to write down my thoughts or, like you said, inspirations that you get while you're just by yourself. Like you shut out the world, you shut out everything,
Mhm.
and you are just you for that moment. And so I always bring a notebook with me when we go camping because I do that for that reason. Because that's where I start getting like things flowing, and I'm like, I need to write this down, or I need a thought, or I just want to like journal something. So I can definitely
Yes.
relate to everything you said with that, with just reconnecting with nature and just being outside. And
Love
I love that because I feel like everybody needs to be outside more. Everybody needs to do outside things more.
100%. Even in
Um,
Canada, I'm outside. Make it
For
happen.
sure, for sure. Leave the concrete jungle for a minute and go touch some grass and hug a tree or something.
Yes.
But okay, so last question. I would love for you to answer this on what would you say to someone who's scared of the failure part of starting a business after what you've experienced making the jump yourself?
Hmm. I mean, I think the biggest thing, like, if you're afraid of failing, like, what happens if truly you fail? You go back to what you're already doing.
Hmm.
I don't think there's a lot more to say to that. Like, take the
Yeah.
chance, take the leap, try. Because, like, if you don't, you're gonna just stay exactly the same as things are right now. And
Hmm.
chances are you're wanting and desiring, a different life for a reason. And really connect to that and understand. Because the worst thing that can happen is you try and you decide, you know what, I don't actually want this. And you go back to what you were doing, but I think that the only way you truly can fail in this space is if you give up.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like one of the things that I had put up somewhere. I don't even remember where. I thought I saw it from somebody else and I put it on a reel for myself that it's like some people's plan A is my plan B.
or something like that, I'm like, I can always go back to a job, but you can only take experiences and opportunities once. Like once you pass it up,
Exactly.
something else will come up. Like you'll always get presented with opportunities and experiences, but the more you keep passing them up, they're gonna stop coming around. And then where you at, you're stuck where you're at. So life is like all about adventure. Like it, why not? Like why not? I
Yes.
would love to like get to my 90s, even if I never make a penny, even if I never make money or I'm not successful or whatever, like whatever you want to like put on it, right? I would love to get to my 90s and tell my grandkids, I tried. I experienced this. I did this. Like, I want to have the story, regardless of where this goes and takes me. I want that story to tell that I did this, that I
Yeah.
tried. And so that's what I look forward to with this, regardless of where it goes. I have stories to tell. And I
Yeah.
don't want to get to the rest of my life just saying, like, I just showed up for a job, didn't have time for anything, didn't do anything special, didn't do anything different. And I'm like, I want to have that to say. So, but oh my gosh, Katie, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on and speaking your truth. I really greatly appreciate it. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Courtney. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening in. If you loved this episode, I would so appreciate it if you shared it with a girlfriend. Like, send it to her right now or post it on social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me get the message out. I'm so freaking grateful and excited to be on this journey with you, girl. So until next time, I'll talk to you soon.